And welcome to Living a Bella Vida Podcast. I'm Erin Schmidt with Bella Vida Magazine, and I'm so excited to have Goldilocks from the Goldilocks Band here today. She's an entrepreneur. She's a former pro wrestler, and she's an all-around just amazing woman. She writes for the LA Tribune, and she also has a lot of causes that she supports. So I'm really excited to have her here today. Hi, Goldie.
Hi, Erin. Honored to be here. Thanks for making time to have a great conversation for some people to be inspired and feel good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah. And I was saying, you had me on your podcast, so that really inspired me to get back to podcasting. And so thank you for that. And I know my interview with you isn't out yet, so I'm excited for people to see that.
I am too.
But you're just an amazing person, and I'm so glad that I'm getting to know you better. People can see behind you, you are a rock star. You've got like all this amazing stuff behind you. You've opened for the likes of Pink and Bret Michaels. I mean, you've done so many different things. You're a photographer, you do all kinds of things. So tell me a little bit about growing up and how you got inspired to, first of all, get into music, but also wrestling and all of that. That's so fascinating to me.
Well, I appreciate that, that you even did some background research on me. Thank you, Erin. When it's funny because when I hear somebody else's fanfare with, they do this and they do that, and I'm just like, gag. Because I think, well, what do you do then? What are you great? But you know what? The more women like you are out just being an advocate for other chicks and being cool and being nice. Girls weren't really nice to me growing up. I always talk about that because not to bring energy to it, but
relate.
Okay. Dr. Forrest is just like the super Dr. Natalie Forrest with the Los Angeles Tribune. She's just this beautiful light, and she's always just cheering everybody on. And I'm not used to it because I'm used to backstabs and front stabs. And I'm not used to a woman being that wonderful. She has literally supported every possible thing that I've done or our band. She's always buying a t-shirt or kicking in here and there. Just not even little. To her, I'm sure it's little. To me, it's a lot. To us, it's a huge thing. I'm not used to females doing that. So it's interesting because when you hear, first off, when I hear they do this, they blah, 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 I do wonder, are they focused? But then I think, okay, you do that. But it's interesting because if a guy is an athlete, if a guy has a shoe brand, if a guy has a clothing company, if a guy has a bunch of restaurants in Atlanta, like there's nobody thinks anything of that, but for a woman, like, well, is she scattered? Is she, people always say you need to be focused. I'm pretty freaking focused. Like, I've always been focused, and the focus is umbrella. I'm an entrepreneur. I've got ADHD. It's a million, but it's all focused. So like, you get it. Every day is like school for me. I give myself 45 minutes to an hour for a workout. I do 2 hours of music, whether it be editing or tuning or getting things together to give somebody. I concentrate a couple hours on my photography friends and clients, making sure they're taken care of. I go build, I go do what I need to do. We go tour. So I just don't have the same 9 to 5 that everybody else does. I break mine up a different way. But so I don't know how I got on that rant. It was about women. It was just about, I do a lot of different things. And I know when people hear that, it sounds Looney Tuneville, but it's not. It's all under an artistic umbrella. And it's how I make a living doing creative things. And some days we're not touring full time. Some days it's only 2 nights a week or 3 nights a week. So then what do you do with the other 4? Do you just sit around and like hope something falls in your lap, or do you go cultivate something else? Do you have some other passive income? I think that's so important for everybody, men and women.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. And it's good to have your hands in lots of different things because you just never know how they're going to support each other. Right.
Absolutely.
So that's why I started this podcast as well.
I love it.
Yeah. So growing up, though, how did you get in? Were you always musical? Did you love to sing as a kid?
Yeah. So, my uncle was one of the greatest graphic designers of all time. And he designed like the Wheaties box. He designed the packaging for Northern toilet paper. He just was a really beautiful artist. And he said to my parents, you know, that kid's real cute. You need to get that girl into modeling. And they were a little apprehensive at first, but you know, I got right in and just very vivacious and did well on camera and was a good kid. So I started to get a lot of experience in jobs, and then that led to more acting in movies and films, and then led to the music business. So that's how I got started. And then I did run away when I was 3 years old by myself, just about a mile away. Yeah. So I went missing for a while, and I just like headed towards the dance school that was on a busy street, and they had lots of lights and shiny things and big mirrors with people dancing. And that's where I knew where it was when I would ride in the car, and I went there. So that's where they found me. And then they thought, we better get this child of ours into some sort of dance and gymnastics and whatnot, so that they're not running away all the time. Like we'll take them there. That's how it all started.
Wow. I actually had something similar when I was growing up in this tiny little town in Massachusetts, and the local high school's marching band went down our street. Oh. And I was maybe two or three. And I was like, wow, that was really cool. And we went inside, and I was like, well, are they coming back? So I went back outside, went down to the end of our street and was waiting. And I knew I couldn't cross the street by myself. So I just sat down, and my dad came out like, oh my God, where are you?
Freaking out where you are. You just wanted to be a part of it all.
I remember that distinctly this many years ago.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. Know. Yeah, I know. When you're a kid, you just are like, oh, I'm going to go check that out, you know? So that's exciting though, that your parents really supported that and got you into dance. I love dance too. I was doing that for a long time. Beyond just wrestling and music, you are a really strong advocate for a lot of really important causes, some that are very near and dear to my heart as well, like domestic violence and suicide prevention. In our interview, we talked about that my dad committed suicide 5 years ago, which really gave me the passion behind what I'm doing with living a beautiful life. Mm-hmm. And you also are a big supporter of cancer research and living healthy. So tell us about how you got involved in those projects and some of the things you're doing to support people and women, children in those areas.
The domestic violence one is near and dear to my heart, but in a different way. Like any man that ever laid a hand on me got one back, and it didn't end well for them. I'm a pro wrestler, so a lot of my girlfriends were hotheads anyway. But I do know what it's like to be in abusive situations and relationships, and to feel trapped and that you can't get out and you can't see your own light. It's really, really tough. And people will always say, well, didn't you see to somebody who's been abused, didn't you see red flags? No, you don't see red flags. They're narcissists. They are sociopaths, complete liars. A lot of them are, most of them are, and you get snowed and then you're trapped, and then you don't have an income, or then you're a mom and you've got a bunch of kids by this guy, and and it works the same way. I've seen like plenty of gay guys in real bad relationships and situations where one just feels trapped and one's the breadwinner. And then what's this guy going to do to afford to live? Well, you have to get out of your own head and realize no matter what you do to escape or leave, you're going to have to rebuild and start over. But I can guarantee from somebody who was in a really bad situation, not physical, but just very, very bad. I knew I was going to lose my record deal. I knew I was going to lose my management deal. I knew I was going to lose everything. And I would get fired from wrestling that same week. It's like went from making, how much money to zero, because I didn't save any, because I thought it was all going to keep on coming. I lived in Beverly Hills and Bel Air and Century City. I had the life, and I just thought it would always keep coming. And I didn't realize, like, it's not forever. You should have been making wise choices and investments. And I even remember this crazy guy in Beverly Hills who was always talking about this thing. And we're like, God, this guy's just crazy. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, it's going to be a really big thing. And so he would buy all of this and invest. And one day he kept calling it my key. I lost my key. And I'm like, what is your problem? You lost your key? Yeah, he lost his code key to his cryptocurrency. He was one of the first people to ever buy cryptocurrency and is one of the biggest, he's one of the biggest guys in that realm in all time. But, I should have been listening to him and not just passing judgment on him and saying this guy's wacky. Yeah, he's real wacko now. He's a billionaire. And I just thought it would all keep on coming, and it didn't. And yeah, I fled and I left all my stuff from Beverly Hills and I moved to Nashville and I had to rebuild everything. And that's another segue into a beautiful life, is having your own freedom, not being locked down by somebody. And so many people in domestic violence situations think that that's the end. They just cannot see how things are going to exist. And that's why I got connected with the YWCA, Thistle Farms. There's so many organizations where you can go there. That's what they're there for, to help you. Yeah, it might not be as glamorous as the lifestyle that you're used to living now, but just give it a try. Get out, breathe, take a year, take 2 years, take 5 years to start to heal, realize your own wealth, your own value. Realize who you are outside of somebody else's existence, their definition of you, and start over. And you'll thrive, because it's like when you have a bad combination, like whether it's in a band or a group of friends or whatever, like you don't realize when it's not the right combination, it's not the right combination. Like nothing's getting unlocked. We've got a really great band right now. And because it's the right people, things are just, knock on wood, things are moving faster than they ever were with the wrong people. So domestic violence, God, I just want everybody to be happy and to be safe and healthy. And if you're in a bad situation, like there is always somebody that's going to be out there to help you. But be very strategic with it. Don't do something rash or hasty. Plan it out. All successful escapes have always been planned out. Think about it. And confide in a friend. I'm the person that's just shown up with her huge Sprinter van many times when somebody goes off to work and it's time to just get your stuff and run and let's go and let's have a place set up for you. Or are you staying with me or whatever? But Erin, plan your situation. There's always going to be help. There's always going to be some, and then don't go back. Like I've helped a lot of people and then they've gone back within days. And I'm like, okay, you just wasted my time and yours. Like, be sick and tired of being sick and tired, and get ready to leave and get help and get your plan and gear and get out. I've had guys come home when I'm doing that. And that didn't end very well for them, unless they've had a gun, which maybe I have one too. I'm not saying, but you just never know these days. So plan and have a really badass friend to help you out. And the YWCA, Thistle Farms, you're going to have tons of organizations in every community. There's going to be a great domestic violence platform there that's really there to help you. Use it. That's domestic violence. Okay. We should talk about the cancer prevention. Just any illness at all, if there is a prevention, I don't understand why when the box says you probably are going to get cancer, then what are you putting this in your mouth for? If people are being hurt from vaping, why are you doing this? Like, you would freak out about jumping off a bridge, or like, oh, I might get hurt doing that. Or, why don't you just put on a blindfold and go driving? Oh, I would never do that. That's dangerous. Okay. So is smoking. And so are many things that we do and foods that we eat that, like this is going to cause potential cancer. Like, what are you thinking? And don't say, oh, well, I'm going to die of anything. Well, great. Then die alone, pal, because I don't want to have to smell the death that I've smelled in my life in hospices. It's a rotting, horrific, horrible smell that it's death. And I don't want to be smelling that smell, Erin, when I know that if I just would have spoken up, maybe I could have bugged somebody enough to have made a difference and a change in their life. And then the best call that I can ever get is, you know what, Goldie, things are getting really bad. I had to quit smoking. Things are getting really bad. I had to quit smoking. Well, thank God. I am so glad that, and with quitting smoking, it's like, within a couple of years, I think you've like within a week, within a month, 3 months, 6 months, the reversal to the damage that has been done is like, it's incredible. It's like you almost regrow your lungs. Like, don't do things.
Our bodies are amazing, right? They heal
Don't do things
themselves
to
so
hurt yourself.
quickly.
So we started the eye cancer, ICAN, lowercase CER, .life. It's just a lot of resources. There's some really cool inspirational items on there. If you want to wear them around a friend going through something, if you want to give it to somebody that's going through something. And then we do shirts and a show where we go into different treatment centers, hospitals, and we do a quiet 45-minute acoustic set and just hopefully make them smile. So thanks for asking. That was long-winded, but very passionate about both of them. Great question.
Oh, that's amazing. No, I love what you're doing. And, you know, a lot of people, it's easy to donate money. It's harder to donate of yourself and your time. And that's oftentimes what makes a bigger difference than just write a check.
All of it is wonderful and all of it is helpful. And you know that. Yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're both helpful, but you can make a big impact even if you don't have the money to donate, right?
For sure.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, they don't take on projects because they like, well, I don't have the money to donate, but you have yourself, you have your time.
Good
and
point.
Time is precious, right? Yeah.
Good point.
And those people need support. So that's amazing. And, you know, I was looking through your Instagram feed again before we got on, and I saw that
scary.
You had done a post about God and gotten some flack for it, which, you know,
all the time.
I started wearing my cross again because I was like, you know what? I'm not afraid to say I'm Christian. I love everyone. I studied Buddhism. I have done a lot of things, but I still believed in God and Jesus and all of that because I was raised Catholic. My parents were both very Catholic. So how has faith in God really worked in your life and your career? How has it maybe changed over the years in your belief system? I'm always fascinated by that question because it's easy to look at the success that you have now, but I'm sure without faith, it would have been much harder. That's my, that's my 2 cents on that.
No, and I'm glad that you wear your cross, and it's interesting. My faith over the years since I was a little girl has not changed at all. Nothing has changed at all. It's always been the first and foremost thing of, oh, it's hard to even not tear up. Like, that's just what my parents were all about, And my late mom would just give literally, and her mom, my grandma, would give the shirt off their backs to people like Christian. There was a song that I remember in first grade, and the song was, and you will know they are Christians by their love, by their love. You will know they are Christians by their love. And it's like, I don't know what's cooking in the South here, but there's some people that need to listen to that song, because they're just judging and throwing rocks and stones at everyone. And God, Jesus hung out with the hookers and the tax collectors, and hung out with 12 dudes that were wearing sandals and long hair and drinking a lot of wine. Like that's not the Jesus that I was taught about. I was just taught about a very loving Christ. And then you find out, Jesus was kind of a rock star. Like he had his borders in the land that would make him these beautiful cloaks that they, cast lots for when they were crucifying him. Like, that was some pretty pimping stuff that Jesus had. Like, he definitely had a lot of women that were in his corner, and I'm sure he was a cool, hot dude. I mean, it's no different than you see. Jesus would have had a badass Instagram. He would have been the guy. Well, think about it. If he was in real time, beautiful man, dark skin, talented at what he did. Like, I just have always Jesus like that. And changed as far as who my Messiah and my Lord and Savior is, but I do recognize other people. They're not mine, but I have a lot of love and respect for Buddha and the Indian different gods, and even Wiccans, and just respecting everybody's person. Like, believe in something. If it's not Jesus Christ, like, I can't fault you for who you were brought up learning about. And I've been to Turkey and Israel and all these amazing places where just Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, like just all the different places where you see people of that area worshiping. And I just can't say, like, I believe in Jesus and you're wrong. I can just say, I believe in Jesus and I'm good with that. And it's working for me. And this is who this guy is. You should know about him. Mm-hmm. And how that works into their life is great. I always tell people who he is, what he means to me. He means peace and patience and kindness and acceptance. And I think there's so many people, including me sometimes, who are just not walking the walk of what a true Christian is. Like, you are really supposed to love, and it's God's decision to condemn and crucify everybody. And I don't even know when we pass what that's going to look like. I don't know if this hell is what we've envisioned it to be. I don't know. Because I'm not God. So all I can do is lead my best life and try my best to have patience with people and be really good to them and help where I can. And that's getting challenging these days. I'll tell you, the biggest challenge I have is I used to be the first person on the block to give and take care of all of the homeless. And now it bums me out, Erin, because so much of it is a hustle for people and they're just parked down the block. And it's like, I want to help, but then am I just helping to somebody not paying their taxes because they're just hustling? We all know who those people are, what they look like, and they've got on nicer shoes, nicer nails, hair, clothing than I do. You know, they're going to the salon more frequently than I can ever hope to. So that weighs on my heart these days. To deviate a little bit from your question, is I want to make sure, like, I really do. You know, my favorite thing to do is try to find somebody pushing cans. And then they always drop those hints like, oh, it's really hot out. It's a long walk to the recycling place. And I'm like, yeah, I'm already helping you out. Don't just, don't press your luck, pal. And they need to make that journey, but I'll always stop and help them or make sure they've got something to eat, because I can see that they're actually actively working to do something and not just a hustle. Nashville is horrible. So is LA, I'm sure. But LA is different, like different all around the block. But Nashville is just turning into like a tourist hustle where there's just people that don't want to work, that are capable of it, that are not veterans or mentally ill or have disabilities or things preventing them. Oh my God, I want to be the first to help with all of that. But the hustlers, So I walk a teetering line with my Christianity on, oh, I should help this person. But, I usually end up helping them anyway. But that's been weighing on me lately.
Yeah. In the past, I've given food to homeless people or people that are panhandling. Because if they're out there and they really are in need, they'll be grateful for a bottle of water or a granola bar if I have it in my car. And then if they have an addiction of some kind, you're not feeding into that by giving them money that they then go score or they go buy a fifth of whatever. But you're right. Yeah. Unfortunately, LA has that, but more often than not, we do see people that have either serious addictions who don't want to get better, because help is offered to them sometimes and they turn it down.
I know that's hard. That's really hard
it's
to do that.
Very sad. But there are definitely is a mental health crisis for sure. I saw that when I lived in Santa Barbara as well, that there's a lot of people on the streets that they're there because maybe they had past trauma or they had an event. I want to mention my friend Joseph, who has a organization called Bear Truth in Los Angeles, and he goes around and helps people. And he's out there feeding them. He's giving them tents. He's giving them brooms to clean up. But California just passed something that they can arrest you now for sleeping outside. So,
really?
It's sad because it has become quite a big problem in LA, I have to say, in certain areas. But we need solutions. Jesus didn't turn his back on people. He found solutions for them. You don't just turn your back and say, okay, well, let's put you in jail for the night because you'll be sleeping there. That's punishing people for having schizophrenia or for losing everything and not seeing a way out. So it's a big problem in the US. It's a big problem everywhere, but at least there are people out there trying to make a difference like you are with
your
what
friend
you're doing.
Your friend sounds amazing.
He's amazing. If people want to donate to your organization, I'm going to put the links below. If you want to donate to Joseph's organization, Bear Truth, I'm also going to put that. I'm going to have him on the podcast eventually. But, it's been so great, getting to chat with you again, Goldie. You're so much fun to talk to. I could talk all day probably.
Are your 30 minutes? Are your podcast 30 minutes?
Roughly. Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah. No, I don't. This is fine. We can chop it up if we need to. But I always end my podcast with, how do you define living a beautiful life? Maybe in general, but also specifically, like, what are some things that you do or that inspire you to live a beautiful life?
I was thinking about that this morning, knowing that I was coming on your podcast, Erin. Just a beautiful life for me or for anybody is being completely grateful for what you have. I mean, this country, especially, oh my God. I was in my restroom, and I live in a haunted hospital. So I live in a hospital that I've renovated, which has been on different television shows. That's how I've gotten some shows, is by renovating my place. And definitely a lot of activity here, but it's a strange building. It was a hospital. So it's like, I really don't have a bedroom. I just have this weird room. And there's another room attached to it that was a bathroom, kind of, but not really. So I built cabinets and makeshifted it into what I needed it to. But, I was looking at the cabinets today, and I'm like, these are just made from just some pine that I made myself and painted, and got some tracks in the top and the bottom with my friends, cut some glass for it, some mirror. It's not fancy. It's cool though. Got some recycled tile, I just made it work. It's one of those like floating bowls, because it didn't really have a place for a sink, but it's really interesting and it works for me. And I just thought, if I came into just so much money where I could just gut everything and start over, would I? Why would I? When I look at this and I think, I am so grateful for what I already have. Like, I've got more storage than I could ever hope for. It's all filled with all these beautiful products that people have given me to try, or I've gotten a discount on, or a grab bag from somewhere. I've got just so much stuff. I wouldn't need to buy one more thing. I wouldn't need to do one more thing. Like, I think living a beautiful life is just really realizing what you already have, and the friends that you have, and the little animals that you might have. Look what a gift that is to have a pet. Or I got a feral that just let himself in today, and he's coming in more often, and I give him flea and tick stuff so that he doesn't get it too crazy in here, and take him to get his shots. And I got another rescue animal. Like, what a gift that is. Or your children, or the talents that you have. Like, that's just all rolling into a beautiful life, is just really taking a moment to be quiet and realizing all that you do have. So that's how I live my beautiful life.
I love that. Yeah. Gratitude is one of those things that, if you're truly grateful, you really can't be angry or frustrated or any of that. So, I think that's a wonderful way to look at it. And Goldie, it's been a pleasure having you. You're so amazing. And I'm so glad that we got to get on together again.
Yes,
if you want to follow Goldie, she's all over social media, Goldilocks and her band. They're out performing live a lot of times. She has her own podcast, Goldie, and she has an article in LA Tribune, Goldie's Corner.
Goldie's Closet, Goldilocks, easy breezy.
Yeah, and we'll put the links to all of her charities and ways you can donate to support. And Goldie, it's been so much fun. Thanks for coming
Erin,
on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. You're such a cutie pie. Say hi to your husband for me.
I certainly will. Say hi to you.
Okay.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.